That's right, family. It's your old pal, Sunlight Askew, here with the long-awaited return of your favorite laser radio show this side of the belt, Praise in the Static. It's been a little while, but we had to take a break there for a bit. But trust and believe, family, we weren't just standing still. We were lying in wait. We're geared up for a whole new slate of programming. News, interviews, unfiltered history lessons. We're still out here spreading the good word thanks to you, and we couldn't be more thankful. After the break, we'll be visiting some old friends with a deep dive into the history of those late-stage capitalism centers of commerce and community, the mall. Lots more stories to share with you, and what a privilege it is to get to share them with you. Don't forget to take care of yourselves, family. We're all we've got out here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our first episode of Prayers in the Static for 2023. I'm your host, Kendrick, or Kendo if you prefer. I use they, he pronouns, and with me, as always, is my most wonderful co-host, a very good friend, talented, handsome, truly going to be the world's next very good person. I couldn't think of a person that I was like, yeah, right. Ibraheem.
Hello, everyone. I am Ibraheem. I use he, him pronouns. Happy Black History Month.
Yeah. Black History Month.
We have some guests with us today, as usual, but these guests, folks. I'm going to pass it over to the lovely Kestrel.
Hi, I'm Kestrel. I go by she, they pronouns, and I'm a very normal person, so I'm happy to be here.
Don't lie on Black History Month.
I don't know what they're talking about.
don't lie to
talk
these people.
Yourself down.
Hi, everyone.
This Black History Month.
Hi, Hi.
Hi. Oh my God. Well, thank you for joining us. And of course, last but not least in any way, shape, or form, the egoist themselves, CJ.
Hi everyone, I'm CJ, they them pronouns. I'm the biggest hater that you'll find on the internet. Top 10 at least. We'll take a look out. I'm not normal. Kess is also not normal. Don't let them lie to you here.
Hi, everyone.
Don't let them lie. No one here is normal. No one here is normal whatsoever. And that's not what we're here for. We're not here to be normal. We're here to be our truest, most queer, most purest ethnic? Is that what they
Most
said?
ethnic
I'm
selves.
sorry. Ethnic History Month? No, baby. Let's go.
We're back, baby.
We're
back.
Black and more ethnic than ever, baby. Not
Back
ambiguous. It's black.
We're back and more black.
We're back and more black. Well, today, how do I segue from that?
I don't know.
Just like this. Well, yeah, right. Well, today, everybody, we are playing a very fun game that I have been wanting to try out for the longest time. The Ground Itself by Everest Pipkin. It is a tabletop RPG storytelling game that tells the place of, well, the ground itself, a very specific place over a course of time. And what that time is and how much time, well, we're going to decide as we get into playing. We are focusing today on a mall, which is, I think the most mundane thing that we've ever done in Prayers in the Static. But, sometimes the mundane is where the most spectacular things happen. I've been warned by both of our guests that things are going to get, that they're going to do their best to make to make this a terrible experience for the people in the world, but not for us.
Mm-hmm. This is not an adversarial game. However, it has become one for the inhabitants of this world.
Yes. Sadly, for the people of this world, we are the gods and arbiters of their fate, and we will make life a living hell for all of them. God. But that aside, let's talk a little bit about this game. So, the ground itself, as I said before, is a storytelling game. We will be using a deck of cards, which you all will not be able to see because there's other things that I would rather you see, and having a bunch of different maps, blah, 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 it's nothing. We'll tell you what cards it is that we're drawing, and just trust us. Why would we lie to you? We're your friends. Come on. We wouldn't lie to you. But we will be using a deck of cards, a D6. Either players, you can either use the D6 in the Roll20 that we're going to be using, or if you would rather roll a physical D6, that is up to you. Whatever floats your boat, baby. And I think that's really it. Yeah, it's the cards, it is the dice. There is a coin that is typically used in this game as a consent token, but saying that we are not in a physical place where we can all, be together and do that, we will instead be using typical X card rules. Players either in chat or visibly on camera. If we do get to any point or bring up any topic or start any story that feels uncomfortable, that you would rather us not get into, or even if it's just something that you don't think is interesting for the story and you would rather us not get into that, you don't have to explain a reason. You can just type X into the chat or visibly do an X on screen, and we will take that cue, we will back it up, and we will figure out how to move forward in a way where everyone is the most comfortable playing. And so the game is going to work like this. There are 4 cycles in this game, and these 4 cycles are going to be looking at periods of time in this space, this mall, which we haven't named, but we can get into naming this mall once we actually get into playing the game. But these 4 cycles take over periods of time that could be days, weeks, months, years, decades, centuries. And we will be pulling cards, and each card will give us a prompt that the person who drew the card can answer. And then we as players are going to, we as the other players can ask clarifying questions or follow-up questions to be able to kind of expand a bit more on what it is that they have stated in answering the question. We may not contradict anything that the person who drew the card has already stated, but we may ask questions to kind of get a better sense of it, to get to have more context so that we know what is actually happening and how to move forward with it. When a person draws a card, they also have the choice whether instead of answering the question that is related to the card, that person may instead have a focused situation where they won't answer that question, but they can instead tell a story. So a quick scene or something that takes place in this space that helps fleshing out like a little bit of what's going on. If there's something specific that you would like to explore in the setting or what's going on, you can just tell a brief story about that. You could throw a party where if there are characters in the space that we can play as who throw a party, we can play out a scene of what a party looks like in this abandoned mall that we're going to be playing in. You can discover something. You can set a scene where some characters or something is unearthed or discovered after a long period of time, and kind of talk about, like, you don't necessarily have to establish what that changes about the world. You could just put it on the table and force the rest of us to figure out what the hell's going on. You can see an omen. You can point out the dark clouds over the horizon. And again, you don't have to explain what it is. You can just put that on the table and say, figure it out. And you know what? That's part of the fun here. You can leave the frame. And I'm thinking of what that means in this context is that you can move the frame away from them all, and you can see a little bit of the world around it, and perhaps how the mall and the whatever it is you're moving the frame to kind of interact or engage with each other by nature of existing near each other. I think there's a lot of interesting ways that can be used. Or you can just move on and skip your turn. If you're not interested in answering this question and you're not interested in doing any of the focus scenes and would rather just like, let's just move forward, you're more than free to just pick it up and go, nah, and then skip your turn and move on. If the number 10 is drawn during a cycle after you do whatever it is that you want to do, be that answer the question or do a focus scene, that cycle ends, and we will move forward in time and go on to the next cycle. What happens in between cycles is that I'm thinking whoever it is who picked up the 10 can roll a d6, and that d6 will determine how far we move in time based on the unit that we decide at the beginning of the game. So as an example, if you rolled a d6 and you got a 3, and the time period that we chose was years, we would be able to move in time 3 years. And you can also decide, is this moving 3 years into the future or 3 years into the past? And that way we get to get a very large sense of like what this place looked like, both in its past, its present, and its future. We can have a more fuller picture of what's going on. After we figure that out, we will answer questions, 3 questions, in fact, about the space and what it looks like in this new cycle. And we can get to those questions once we actually get to that part of the game. But after the 4th cycle is finished, meaning 4 10s have been drawn, our game is over. And that's that. That's that on that, you know?
That's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote, baby. And so yeah, that's really it. Does anyone have any questions about how this game is going to work?
Do you have questions, audience? Leave those questions in the comments over on the right.
Yeah, sorry, this is pre-recorded, so we won't be able to answer them for you.
Wait, are we revealing that, or is that?
I was gonna say, are you supposed to tell them? You're supposed to like fucking act like it's not very good. You did.
What?
It's not fucking talk.
I'm not gonna lie to them.
It's not an omission of truth is lying.
We
I
do
will act
talk
like
to
it's
the
not.
Email to talesYetTold@gmail.com with all of your questions and queries, and Kendo will answer them personally themselves.
Personally,
it's actually TalesYetToldPod@gmail.com.
Oh, but
because for some reason TalesYetTold@gmail.
I stole it actually. Fucking imagine that. I want you to imagine how hateful that would be.
That reminds me of the person who has @Transplaner.
What? Are you serious?
That doesn't surprise me, actually. Yeah, because they're Transplaner RPG.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not saying Transplaner is an unoriginal name, but for something out there to exist as Transplaner, even if it's not trans, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Probably just like universe hopping, multi-dimensional.
Yeah, something shit. Anyway, go listen to Transplaner.
Go listen to Transplaner.
And watch this. Stay here though. Stay here though.
Stay here. Watch them afterwards.
Okay. Wouldn't it be fucking funny if we cut all of that out except for the ad for Transplaner?
And everyone's like, "Why? There's a weird plug that just kind of happened.
Came out of nowhere, yeah.
Came out of nowhere. I appreciated it, but wasn't what I was expecting to happen." Okay. Well, with that, let us get into our game. So, at the start of our game, we are going to hold on. I have to pull up the book again. I lost my tab. Oh boy. So at the start of the game is played, as I said, in 4 cycles. We have to roll a d6 in order to decide what our timeline is going to look like, that being what unit of time that we are going to be using. We've kind of talked about this a little bit off camera, we could roll, but I think we all agree that there are some choices in here that we are not as interested in, that being days or weeks.
Yes.
I'm fine with skipping over those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
If we rolled, it would be the illusion of choice where there are bad options.
Yeah. Well, technically, I actually in the game it says you all can, like, if you roll something and you're like, that's not interesting for the game, you can just re-roll. So the game does. Yeah. Right.
I think what we landed on was probably that we wanted to go with decades as the more interesting one.
I like that.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Okay, cool. So we will skip over that part of play. Amazing. So all of our time period that we will be using as of now is decades. So now we move on to establishing our place. Each player is going to be dealt cards from the face card stack in a circle until no cards are left. Then, going in the same circle, each player sets down one card at a time and answers the question associated with that card detailed below. They may read the question first or pick between their cards at random. Keep going until the world feels established or each player is out of cards, whichever happens first. Try to keep this discussion under 25 minutes. Keep your answers to each question very short. You may wish to make brief notes to jog your memory later. The reference sheet that I also have that I've sent everyone has a portion for game notes so that anybody can be taking notes at any point in time.
So, am I correct? Should I deal out 4 face cards to everyone?
Yes. Okay. All right, so Ibraheem, you were first.
Let's see. Let's drop this guy.
Ooh.
So that's
the Jack of Hearts.
And let me just... Okay, Jack of Hearts. Who lives here? What is an average person like in this place? What do they look like? And what do they wear? Okay. So in this mall that I will refer to as the mall until a name comes up organically, who lives here? I think we had discussed this being a mixed-use commercial residential building. So I think the first people to live there are actually the people who are helping to build the structure, who are, outfitting the stores, putting in the electrical, putting in the water. And I think they, for the most part, are wearing very loose fitting colored jumpsuits that sort of set them apart from the people who do not live here full time, from the general contractors and the electricians that are temps. But I think, I think that the people who live here are, for the most part, first, honest, hardworking folk who are just trying to get by and have the opportunity now to live in this place. They have guaranteed residences for themselves and their families.
You say they wear like neon like jumpsuits to.
Yeah, they've got like like Star Trek rules.
Yeah.
The jumpsuit color says what your job is.
Yeah, to differentiate their departments and from I don't want to say regular people who just live here.
From people
residents.
who don't live here, or people like, I think, the eventual residents who will have like the bespoke suites on the upper levels. They're not here yet. Right now, it's just the couple of shoppers that are coming in and the people who are working on the rest of the structure.
Understood. Okay. All right. CJ, you are next.
Oh God, I forgot. It came up so fast. The top ones are face cards, right?
In Roll20, you should have a 3 cards that are
Never
right
mind.
above the number. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. And you can just pull from there.
Cries. Let's do this one, even though I don't know which one it is. The queen of whatever the fuck that shape is, because I refuse to learn what a spade is. Oh, baby, yes. What was the greatest tragedy in this place's past? How is it
Oh,
remembered?
Oh my
Wow. Gave it to
god.
you early, huh?
Oh my
All right,
goodness.
CJ, lay it on us.
Oh, yes, baby.
I'm
Flip the
ready.
hair because a bitch is ready. For all the viewers at home, you know what? You'll see. Um, I think the greatest tragedy is the reason why the mall closed down. Um, it was a workers' revolt at the labor conditions happening within the mall. Um, and the escalation of the protests happened like so quickly and so vastly that like a lot of people died.
Ooh.
A lot as in like, you know, relative, like
Right.
Yeah.
a number of people died and people were not cool with that. And I think I don't know how far I can go with this, but I'll keep speaking. And I think like it didn't close down immediately. I think one of the things that happened after this revolt was like a really, really like strict implementation of like carceral nonsense. Like you can't come in here, like don't come in here past 8. We got metal like absolutely absurd shit. And that was the true tragedy. Like yes, people people dying, but I think culturally the true tragedy for people, because who cares about human life, was the fact that their mall went from being like this place of enjoyment to like this carceral hellhole.
Okay.
Damn.
Man, we got there real fast.
You got there fast, huh?
I told you what I was coming. You signed. When you signed me up, I said,
know.
this is what I'm here for.
Creating cops,
Yeah,
any
yeah.
percent speed run.
Literally second question. Okay, so cops. Yeah, if I may ask clarifying questions.
Yes.
And of course everyone else feel free to do so during this period of time. It seems so is were as far as like the shutting down and like the carceral nature of like how things progressed, is this like a company who owns this arcology / mall, like hires in like private military to come in to shut down riots? Okay.
Yes, the people that own it don't want their stuff stolen and don't want the rabble rousers to, you know, fucking protest their shitty labor conditions. So yeah, let's just hire someone to shut them up.
I have a question if yours is done, Kendo. Now, how has this actually affected the way workers approach like the whatever union or trade laws that they have to keep them protected? Like, has that actually like helped at all? Has it just increased?
Yeah, I think so. I think this was a really iconic, if you would say, like labor like event that happened. I think it was right on the cusp of like the unions changing. So basically everything after this, smooth sailing, wonderful, great. They were like, hey, besties, you saw what happened down at the mall. These people have been protesting for weeks because they finished this job and they didn't get enough payment. And then they realized, oh, I probably shouldn't have been working 16 hours a day. It's very much a retroactive thing. Like, we got exploited. Great. Fuck. Sorry. But now we're upset about it. And then it just went to all hell after that. Yes. Yeah, I'm looking. Yes. And they're just like, oh, hey, we should never let this happen again. National tragedy, all over the news outlets, all of the things that happens after a tragedy. It's probably going to happen again. But thankfully, labor unions got a big bonus. Not bonuses in money, but
yeah, like they got a huge push. Okay. Very interesting. And like this is I think my last clarifying question. Is the are these protests like shortly after like the opening of it because like they just finished it, or is this like a couple of years down the line after people have like moved in and are like living and working and such.
I think as all good things do, like all good things that happen, I think it was one of those things that came after about a year or so, or like a year or two after the like the success of the mall. Once people started seeing like, once like the numbers started happening and people were saying like, oh, this is wildly successful and people are moving in and the gentrification happens, they're like, wait, I think it was a byproduct of the results of like gentrification. Oh, we're getting kicked out of our homes and we made this. Hey, maybe we like, let's start asking, like people start asking questions. Academics start poking their nose where they maybe should or shouldn't, and people are like, hey, you're making sense, you got points. And it was like a slow snowball until all at once, maybe a few people who were like on the ball at the beginning were like always being like, guys, we should protest, and everyone's like, I gotta go to work.
yeah, exactly.
But like that crux of we're getting kicked out of our homes, we made this. Why am I still poor if I just made the most profitable thing like in this city? Just a coalescence.
We just built the first functioning profitable mall that has ever existed in centuries. We should like, where's our come up? Yeah.
Well, I mean, for them, it was one of those things where it's like we were like, oh, you hired us, cool, we have jobs. And then you realize your job was like, very exploitative.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have one question that sort of pokes at like Ibraheem's setup, actually. Does that mean the workers that you introduced were non-union?
Ooh. Okay. Well, that's interesting because they're in uniforms, so that would normally imply union. But maybe they didn't have a union. Yeah. I kind of like. I think those workers, to sort of like bring these things into concert with each other, I think those workers kind of assumed like, oh, we've been promised vaguely that we will have a space here, but maybe that was never actually hammered out, and they didn't actually have much bargaining power. So maybe that's where the sudden like flames of like rebellion came in, where it was like, oh shit, they're not actually giving us what we thought was a guaranteed slot in the fucking apartment units.
Yeah. My small question to you that might not even need to be answered is like, do you think that was by design? Do you think like maybe there is already a union and then this company said, well, time to cut corners?
Yeah. They were scabs and then they became radicalized and then they were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be scabs. Oh, maybe it's bad to be a scab, actually.
Maybe it's bad to be a scab. That's so funny. Okay.
This is an anti-scab production. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
Don't cross the picket lines.
Does anyone else have any other questions for CJ?
No.
Nope. Okay. Cool. Then I will pick mine. Ooh. Okay. I'm going to play the... Wait, do I not have that king? Darn it! That's not the king that I have. Oh, I don't have that king either. I have these two kings. Okay. I am going to play the King of Hearts. I'm sorry. I'm going to bring this back down to my corner. I was getting confused, please. I'm sorry. The King of Hearts says, what stories are told in or about this place? Does it have legends or myths? Does it have religion? So kind of in our original conception of this place that, this arcology / mall is like technologically advanced. There is so much that here that is automated to help support the human workers that quote unquote support. Wait, maybe this is how this happens. Actually, in response to the rise of the labor union, all of these protests and the carceral nature of things, the whoever owns this arcology started investing in automation to help replace some of the workers that ended up leaving due to bad working environment. They're like, okay, yeah, no, we understand, we're going to try to make this place better, and we're just going to do that with robots. We're going to replace you with robots and artificial intelligence that can do your job. And so I think that happens, and I think the stories that are told are about the management artificial intelligence. Oh wait, no, management AI doesn't exist yet. Or does it? Wait. No, management AI does exist. Management AI, the first big management AI that can control an entire like space colony doesn't exist yet. But like small things like this of, oh, I can run a factory, that stuff does exist. And so I think they install a management artificial intelligence system to be able to run all of the automation here. And I think the stories that are told are about the first day the system came online, and where all of these people, they come out, they're about to they're about to go about their regular day, right? People are going to work in some of the stalls, people are coming into the mall. It is this huge center of commerce and community where people can spend time, and it's like a very human environment at this point. And then they're just there that day. There's no pomp and circumstance. There's no grand unveiling. There's just one day. There are androids everywhere. People are showing up at work to be like, okay, I'm clocking in, and their new manager is this android who's like, hi, welcome, and like goes through like the thing of, and these aren't sentient AI. We should be very specific about that. Sentient AI does not exist at this point in time that we are viewing of the Pitts setting. These are artificial intelligence in the same way that we kind of like more advanced than what we see today, but in that same sense of they are able to interact and engage with people in as much as they are taking in stimuli to be able to learn more, to do that specific job that they've been programmed to do better. And as far as management AI, like they take in like social cues and all of that good stuff, but there's nothing sentient going on there other than I have a job I need to do. What is going to be the best output that gives me the most efficient way of doing my job? And so, yeah, there are people who are coming into the space now that the space is no longer feels like theirs anymore. It feels like they are cohabitating with a presence that is both like not just artificial, but in some ways feels like it feels like you're being watched at all times, because you know that there is a single system that is controlling all of these different androids. And there's like, while it is under the guise of like being all of these individual people, or all of these individual like units that you are having to interact with, everyone understands that it is one system that is for the most part engaging with everyone at all times. And there's this great sense of unease that falls under all of the workers specifically, not people just coming into the mall, because they're coming in, they're like, oh shit, service has never been this good. Actually, things are great now. But all of the workers are now like, this feels weird and uneasy. And I think that there are like, I think like a lot of the stories that are just being told are people being like, yeah, no, my new manager, sometimes they just kind of stand there and watch me do my job all day, and they don't do anything. They don't move from there because they don't need to, because they're an android. They don't need to do all that stuff. So they just stand there and watch from their charging port. And it's like it's basic. It's like if you've ever worked in customer service, and like there's a specific area where like there's just like a camera where that goes to your manager's office, and so they could be watching all day, but you don't. it makes the entire arcology a panopticon,
Yep.
and it immediately makes everything worse for the people who have to work there.
Yeah. Terrible.
It sucks.
Thank
This
you.
sucks. You know this sucks, right?
I know it sucks. Yeah.
You have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is this so? This is before the labor.
This is after the
uprising.
this is in response to the labor uprising.
Yeah, this is worse. This
of like,
sucks.
yeah, the workers now have a better a deal out of it, but now there are less workers and more androids and automation to replace to help make things smoother, help
Oh
make
my
sure profits so that
People would
people
be-
can get. We need a way to be able to make sure we're making enough money to pay you all your yearly bonuses
The
and your
fucking
raises and
blue-collar
stuff. So we have to
workers
cut
are
costs
pissed.
somewhere.
This is a
Mm.
shitty like counter union move that nobody's thinking about because the fast food and like mall union is pissed at the labor union for fucking dying now.
You want
Mhm.
rights? Okay, we'll give 5 of you rights. The rest of you can go.
I don't have a fucking question. I have comments. Fuck you. No.
This
You
is
know, big.
horrifying, like withering.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I think I have a clarifying question here. So
Mhm.
in this situation, you mentioned that like some of the managers are replaced by like androids overnight. Do you think the manager androids will just conveniently like lose your time clock or lose your time off requests and just be like, no, I'm a perfect
No.
android and I've never fucked up. So
I'm gonna go ahead and say that no, that doesn't happen. Like
Okay.
they like the man could, because I would say that were to be so if the like management AI was like being directed like by a human to be like, okay, hey, we need to, that feels it is
Malicious.
yeah, it is because if that started happening and then the labor union has a reason to be like, okay, come on, this is obviously a thing that is happening. Like, no, it makes sure it does its job perfectly. It like it
Mm.
and it treats in. I think that's the thing. Despite the fact that the act of installing it is malicious, the tool itself is not. The tool itself and the AI and all of that genuinely tries to treat everyone kindly and wants to keep up morale because it knows that is the most efficient way for people to do their job. It tries to treat everyone amazingly, but it is the pure fact of its existence and knowing and like the thoughts of people like, okay, why is this here, and like that kind of like talk that makes this such an uneasy situation, and also makes it harder to argue against it because it is legitimately treating you very well.
That's how I know it's a fantasy world, because this shit works.
Yeah.
Now, does this in any way spark debates about the ethics of like AI labor practices, but in addition, who is maintaining these pieces of equipment for these jobs, right? Do they have any say in what am I trying to look for here? How big does this discussion get in throughout the rest of the world? Like, does this influence okay, this is a thing that this sets a new precedence now throughout the rest of the world?
I think I wonder if this is the first management AI system that has been used on this scale. So I think there probably is discussion around it. There is discussion around I don't think there's discussion around the labor practices of AI, because at this point, again, no one is seeing them as people because they aren't. It is just a machine at this point. There's the typical conversation of okay, automation replacing certain jobs. What do we do with the people who no longer have those jobs now? And I think the answer to that is, I think the the company probably starts like a job program to be like, you know what, you're right, we do need people to be able to maintain these machines. We'll bring you in, we'll pay you for the training, you know, all of this doesn't guarantee you a spot to live here. It just means that you now have a job to come in to be able to fix the thing. And you know what, while you're here, maybe you buy some lunch, you know, you go and you spend all your money back into the mall, but you have a job now, but not a job that secures you housing as many of the other jobs in the mall do.
You have single-handedly dissuaded my one critique of that bullshit argument and made it worse. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do have a question that goes back into the company. Do you think that even though that like I think and because the automation is perfect and because those conversations about like what's gonna happen to the workers even though people have to still work and do like for the fucking machine, do you
Yeah.
think that the company, like the owner of the mall, is like spreading misinformation, like stoking more arguments about that as an attempt to get back at the labor unionists?
Interesting. I don't know. I'm free to leave that open for us to like to explore. Yeah, I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
All right. If there are no other questions, Kestrel, it is your turn.
Oh, I'll get to draw a card now. And I'm gonna do the King of Clubs, if that's all right with everyone. Boop. If that's the clubs, I actually don't know anything about cards. And this one, sweet. If there are inhabitants, so we get to sort of discuss those people now. What are the visions for the future that they hold? Is it a long view or a short one? So the people who actually live like in this mall after this has all been developed, right? Like separate from the workers, separate from management, like the people who are in charge of managing the maintenance of the AI, I guess, like CEO level people. I like to think that the sort of people who live here, like this seems like it is being advertised and utilized as this like haven for I'm feeling around middle class like esque people for the novelty of it. Like with regards to them not providing spaces for like the people who worked in this place. I can't imagine. I'm imagining that they want a certain image with this mall at this level at this point in time. So I imagine it's like only the people that can really afford to like come and live here. Think of this as like a resort living location. Maybe this starts out as like, come here for like a holiday for a little bit or something like that. And like get such easy access to all of our wonderful outlets. Some of our like luxury services that we have here. Oh, don't even worry about like lifting a finger because of our AI management systems. Hey, security here, it's tight. You're gonna love this place. And I think it is with the purpose of like in the future developing this place to be a living location, not necessarily like apocalypse bunker last resort kind of thing, but like, oh, we can get so much more money out of these people if we like put permanent real estate here. But I like to think like this is advertised to nuclear families, like your middle American, like this is the white picket fence of tomorrow. So I like to think that like I wonder what that would look like inside a mall personally. Instead of like having like a trimmed, you have a thought that I'd love to get to in a second. Instead of like having like a trimmed garden, but like your like own design storefronts or something. But what is their vision of the future? Yeah, I think it's like this is going to be a place that like whatever CEO is running this place, they want to make this like the living destination of like whatever place this is in. And that's my initial thoughts out.
I love that.
I love that. I love the mall resort angle. Really good.
Resort, a haven.
I hate them.
I appreciate
You
CJ
can't boo
booing
me if
over
you're
there.
muted.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It adds some gravitas.
It really does. I'm kind of imagining that like you can have like whenever like you that there are like different like tiers of subscription for like almost like a condo kind of package
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like you buy you can stay here like this many months like out of the year before it like someone else who has it, and like you can get like different themes, so like you get there and it's like you know what, I want to go for
Yeah.
like the tropical theme, and then like it gives you like a nice little like there's like a humidity controller in there and like and like all of like these different like holograms that like help make it feel like the vibe, and they change out the furniture to help fit the vibe, and then you go out to the mall, you're like maybe I'm going to the theater today or going out to the mall.
Yeah. Every like gold tier package comes with like a free like photo booth op, like themed food court like location. Your kids can go to the mall playpen. Like
The
it's
playpen.
if
Sorry,
like you
that's a
want to like
bonus option. You get to go to the playpen.
Well, you get to go to it for free. You don't have to.
Oh, right,
it's a
right.
per
That's
hour
right.
thing that you normally have to pay.
Yeah, for free that you already paid for the same for like a discounted price of 10 per fucking cent.
Well, I mean, if you were just visiting the mall for the day, you'd have to like get like you'd have to pay for like one of those carnival wristbands or something, like to show that like, and it's one of those things that
Ew.
can come up really easily. It's like,
Ew, you visit the mall for a day? Ew, you don't live here?
yeah, no, literally. Like, what do you like? There is like to that subscription service, and we can talk about the fact that we might be leaning in towards like developing a caste system in a second, and we can like start to veer away from that. but with this like sort of subscription package, like there is the potential for like more and more exclusive experiences, so that you don't have to talk to their visitors.
You don't have to talk to the. I'm sorry.
God.
I
Oh my
live
God.
here
I
at the
have it.
mall.
No,
You
no, I
just
have it.
visit.
There
On
is
visitor.
this. There is. I mean, it's not a question because I think you're gonna agree. I think that there is a tunnel system.
Oh my
for
God.
people that live there. It's an open closed secret. Like you can't get into it if you don't live here. But like,
Does it just
So
make
you-
getting around easier?
yeah, it makes it so much easier because.
Mhm.
I like to think that the mall is like chaotic as hell. There's so many people walking around, but like, oh my god, if I like, swipe my card because I live here, I'm better than you. I get to walk down the stairs, go into the tunnel system, and get a nice leisurely stroll. And I think the leisurely stroll is like green, like has that like grass growing in there, like gardener. Like this is the point where you get
It's
like absurd
a
jobs.
fake park. down
Yes,
there.
like the entire tunnel, and like it's one of those things where it's like if you're not in the know, you're like, why the fuck does the mall like hire gardeners? And it's because like there's fucking millions of terrariums and shit like and whatnot going on in there. We don't have to, but baby, we don't have to talk. We don't have to talk to the visitors. Like it's the visitors and the lit and the residents.
Yeah.
There's got to be like an AI shuttle system down there as well.
There is.
Just to like,
It's huge. They have a fucking. You ever been to an airport? Not sorry, that's a
Yeah.
broad question. Have you ever been to a big international airport, specifically the Hartfield Jackson Airport in Atlanta?
Mm.
Where they
I
have
have
some
been to
big
that
cuts.
one.
Yes,
actually.
where
Although
you
rip in
literally.
peace, they did make some changes recently.
I will cry. Don't tell me about it now.
I will say there is already a company in this world that specifically does make underground nature spaces.
oh shit, really?
So it's perfect, kind of.
They get the fabricators up in there.
We got the fabricators.
Best in the
So-
biz.
Are
Back
the
to
gardeners
Kestrel.
unionized? I
How
don't
did this
think they
become a CJ question? This was your turn.
Yeah. You tell
Because
me,
baby,
are the gardeners?
It's a collision of egos, baby.
I know. Me and Sid just fucking bouncing off each other. I don't think they are. I think after the whole, well, I think they tried their best to like, hire contractors here and there to do because it's also a specialist job at that point, maintaining like that space.
Mhm.
Well, it would be you could still be union and specialist, but they go to some private fucking workers, like individual workers.
Landscapers. Are landscapers unionized?
It can be.
Like just in the real world, or
Yeah, like the real world.
I'm sure there's a
guess it could be this
landscaping
one.
union. Yeah.
I'm sure there are some, but there's a lot of private landscaping.
I was gonna say because motherfuckers
Yeah.
be out there working 20 hours a day for absurd ass numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
think it would
landscapers unionize.
unionize. I think I think regardless of the situation, I think it's interesting. I don't know if the fabricators exist yet or not in this setting, but I think it would be interesting if the fabricators are born from this. If
I
someone
think
who's
the
working there
funding-
is like, I could do this better. I could find
Yeah.
a way to make this more efficient, better, and like an art form.
I think the funding for it definitely comes from this venture. And I think the funding for a lot of future projects come from this subscription package thing. And I'd like to think that it's similar to how managers are just slowly sort of replaced with AI managers. There are quality of life things for regular visitors that just get put behind paywalls. Oh, did you want to use the elevator? I mean, that's going to be for, renters only. But you can still take the stairs. And then that becomes a whole thing about accessibility within the mall, right? Because, okay, well, hey, we've heard your concerns. We'll put in a pay service for the elevators or something like that.
Bring a doctor's note for an accommodation and you could use the elevator.
Right. It's something absolutely disgusting,
Absurd.
abhorrent, but this is how they are slowly etching out more and more money. There are exclusive stores that you can only go to if you're a paying member, until eventually I think whole parts of the mall just get closed off because only people paying can have the right to access them.
It loses any artifice of being a true community space.
But the community are paying members.
You're true. Now, what's
No,
more
I'm not
community than
Is that a community?
more than one that you pay for to be a part
All
of?
all my
What's a
community
community
managers
but a
out
Planet
there.
Fitness?
Yeah, exactly. God.
Does that
Are
bring
there
it
any
back
more-
around to me?
Yeah.
Do we have more questions for Cass on that beautiful addition to the universe?
We should perhaps move on and perhaps speed up because we are still in the world
still in the
creation
build.
portion.
I
and
know.
we're
I was
about an
thinking
hour
about
in.
that. I was like,
Alright.
That's so
I was like,
funny.
we are not doing 4 of this shit.
Don't you worry about it. I'm gonna be so quick. Here's a card that I am drawing now. Oh, I clicked on the wrong button. Jack of Spades. Oh, where are you, Jack of Spades? Are you over here? There you are. Okay. So the Jack of Spades. What are the threats to this place? Are these threats to the materiality of the place or the people that live in it? All right. Let's see. Yeah, this would have been an egoist question, huh?
CJ chomping at the bit to answer this question.
What are the threats to this place? Okay. I think that there is a constant threat to the people of this place that they will be replaced. I think that the AI have sort of created this constant, because the AI are sort of in this helping position right now where they're supplementing the workforce and replacing your shitty manager. But now that there's thousands of them, now that they're everywhere you turn, you can't go to the bathroom without passing a couple hundred AI on your way there. Or androids, excuse me. now that that fear is now that they're ever present, that fear is just always there, and that's the biggest threat to the people who live here. As for threats to the physicality of this place, I think maybe the fact that it has become sort of fractured into all of these little micro communities means that some parts of this space are not being maintained to a very high standard. That's what I got.
Damn.
Do we have any questions?
Jesus. No questions, Your Honor.
Hand dryer androids in the bathrooms offering you mints, but only if you pay. And if you don't, they will snatch the mint out of your mouth.
Tips are not optional for them. You have to.
You can't leave until you tip.
Right. You will be prevented. Do not pass go.
The beefiest motherfucker ever left the bathroom. We got MMA.
What do they
players
need a
in the
tip for?
best.
You
Want a
know?
mint? You're taking a mint. Take
Also, I'll take two. I'm also like, my olfactory senses are detecting that you need a mint.
Oh,
Just
okay.
like
Yeah.
the
Daryl,
rudest.
Daryl,
Just
get
the
in here.
rudest.
You need a mint. Like it's like
Yep.
two-step authentication. Do you need a mint? No. Daryl comes in. Do you need a mint?
So I do have a question for Ibrahim. How do people manage this threat, right? Like, what do they do in response to this? Do they fight back against like those worsening practices for them? Do they just sort of let it be?
I think they start breaking shit on purpose.
Oh,
I think that they start trying to fuck with the management AI's ability to know what's going on, like fucking with transponders, unscrewing panels, crossing wires, shorting circuits where they can find them. They don't really have a solid plan. I don't think it's any organized thing, but I think that things start to break more and more as they try to make sure that there's always more work to be done.
Mm-hmm. Civil disobedience.
Civil disobedience.
Okay.
That's me.
Taste.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Sold to no one. All right.
To the egoist.
See, to the egoist.
Oh yes, setting myself up. Queen of Heart, whatever the fuck this is. Queen of Hearts. Who or what a person, landmark, society has been in this place the longest? How did they come to be here? I think the longest landmark is actually a fountain in the center of the mall, like the central land point of the mall, that is dedicated to the workers that built this fabulous establishment. That's it. It's always been there, baby. It's one of the first things that got built. It's the central point of the mall, after all. Everyone knows the fountain. It's huge. It's so big that it almost resembles like what you'd see in like a water park.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah,
I'm sorry, no. Do your thing.
No, I was going to say it was actually one of the hardest things that the workers had to accommodate because they actually they had to work with like pipe people, like people that do water, like as well as it, like got in a lot of the way.
Plumbers and such.
Like it was a fucking process. And I mean, like theoretically, you could say a lot of the workers that did this got a lot of on the job experience. But that's just an excuse that everyone knows. So, like we had to do something shitty, and I guess I got a skill out of it.
Is there a fountain show?
Of course, there's a fountain show.
How often?
Every week on the dot, and it actually brings in so much fucking money, like because they do holidays, they change out the water,
they put in green water for St. Patrick's Day.
People fucking like dance in front of it, like it's to a degree where like sometimes they have concerts. It's to a degree where like the fountain is often the backdrop, but everyone knows the fountain inside the mall. Can't miss it.
Wild. Okay. If there are no other questions, And I will play the King of Spades, which says, if there are multiple people who live here, what are they divided on? What are the points of contention that are fought over? Or if there are not multiple people, what resources? Okay, now there are multiple people who live here. And I mean, there's obviously the the separation between the people who pay to live here as a part of their condo service package and the people who live here because they work here, and they are divided on the benefits of automation and the introduction of the AI management system and how it benefits them. I mean, like, very easy point of contention, right? The people who pay to live here are like, yeah, it's great. Life has never been better. I don't have to worry about anything. This is just a vacation for me. And the people who work here who say, well, this is a hostile working environment and I don't know if I'm ever going to get fired or not and be replaced by an android. To which the other people go, well, if they'll do your job better than you, it doesn't matter. And to which they go, yeah, but I deserve to work and live, right? And they go, that's not my
Right?
problem. I'm on vacation. Puts on sunglasses, goes to the underground park.
Wow.
No questions, Your Honor. Fuck you.
No questions. Let the motion
All right.
rest.
Let the motion rest. All right. Kestrel, it is your turn.
I'm bringing out the Queen of Diamonds in attack mode. What is valued here? What is it known to have in excess? So we have this beautiful fountain that's like a central piece to the mall.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it is attached to, or the sort of central looping point of a massive cooling system for the servers that all of the AI operate under and through.
Ooh.
A giant server room underneath the mall to where just all of the brain of the mall lives, effectively. I think this is like, to at the very least, the people who own this mall, that is the most valuable thing about this place, bar none.
Yeah.
If anything there gets damaged, that's all of the systems down. And I think only like a select few people even know it exists, because that's not like regular engineers. That's tech people that like are brought in specially to manage that. Just again, part of like their expansive effort to just completely cut out union workers from like all development. And I think we're probably at the point where like any talk of union workers is just like so far like they've moved far beyond the need to worry about that. But yeah, that's mostly it.
Yeah.
Giant server room attached to the fountain.
Is it like
Amazing.
ridiculously? I have a question if anyone doesn't. Is it like
Go for it.
ridiculously heavily fortified, like encased in like plexiglass, like soundproof because it's below the fountain where shit happens? Like, are we talking like even to get in here, it's like fucking doors upon checks and clearances? Woof.
So yeah, I think the reason why so many new developments are pushed within like these like upper ground of the mall, like, oh, look at all this new stuff, all this is going to be put behind paywalls, is because they need to pay for the security system that allows them to keep this room secure from both physical and cyber like means. I think you like, it's not ridiculous, right? Like, it's not like laser grids all around to keep people from getting in, but yeah, no, it is like reinforced like steel that like keeps that like separates like meters long walls of just space to hold these things in. And because of like so many of the different things that they have going on, they need a hell of a lot of fluid to cool this place down. Just regardless. Yeah.
Very convenient that they had a huge fountain that's constantly pumping water in and out of this place.
And, you know, they keep changing out